I thought I'd talk a little bit about the process of compiling your finished website. You'll likely have to have completed a single page in Codepen, which I think is a good approach. Nice environment to test things out and get something up and running. But once you've got to a certain point, you'll want to download that work and start working in your own code editor so you can build out all of the pages that you've got planned for your entire small business website. I've got an example here, which is a coffee roastery called Dark Brew, and I've built a little web page for them, or at least the first page of that website. So you can see here I've got text logo in the header. I've got a series of thumbnails throughout the middle part of the design or the layout, and then I've just got some secondary links and some social media icons down the bottom. You can see I've built it to be responsive. I have wrapped everything in a wrapper. I've got a fly-in menu, which I've made with a little bit of JavaScript, which is down here. The kind of main section, or I've got a page content area, which is kind of where these thumbnails are, and that's, I suppose, where there's going to be different page content. So there's going to be there's going to be a consistent header and a consistent footer across the whole website. It's going to be just this area through the middle that's going to change, and that's going to be within the page content div class there. So anyway, I reckon it's about time that I downloaded this HTML and CSS, started working locally. So that's, as you know, pretty easy. In Codepen, we just need to go to our export button down here and export a zip. And Codepen's going to compile all of my work, create a series of HTML and CSS files in a JavaScript file, and get that ready for me to continue working with. So there's my zip file, which is in my downloads folder. I might just hide this for a moment, and I'll pull that out onto the desktop, unzip it. Don't really need to keep that zip any longer. Now the files that I'll want to use are in the dist distribution folder. So I'm going to pull that out, and then I'll just remove everything else, and I'm going to rename this give it my website name. So this is what I'm going to work in from now on, and if I open that up, you can see that I've actually got a HTML file, a JavaScript file, and a CSS file. All right, so let's continue working on the website. I'm going to open up a code editor, in this case Visual Studio Code, but you can use whatever code editor that you want. We'll open that up, and I'm going to open that folder in the editor. So open, and head to that folder on the desktop and open that up. And you can see here that I've got a kind of a list of the files that are in my folder that I'm working on there. If I click on each of these, you can see the code, so I can toggle backwards and forwards between those and make the necessary edits that I want. You can see that the files that were created by Codepen in the dist folder have been compiled with a doc type and a head tag, and also the body tag and the closing HTML tag. So that's a nice little way of getting everything put together from Codepen. It's also included all of the style sheets and also the viewport meta tag that I included. I might just show you that in the settings. So under HTML and stuff ahead, I included all my style sheets and the viewport meta tag. All right, so I can continue from this point on working in my code editor and building out the rest of my website. I'm going to start by considering all the pages that will be the final website. I might have like 5 or 6 pages to build up, if I was actually going to build out this page. But to start with, or just for this demonstration, I might scale that down a bit and just include a couple of pages as an example. And I might just remove those links from my menu, and I'm just going to preempt what the files that I'm going to link to, or the different pages of my website will be. I'm going to call my About Us page HTML file about us.html. I'm going to call the testimonials page testimonials, funnily enough, .html. So I haven't made those files yet, but I'm just going to add those to the links there just so I have it. And when I do make the files, I'll remember what those file names will be. Just as a note, try not to use any spaces in any file names, and also I don't reckon it's a good idea to use capitals. If you want to break up things, use dashes. Anyway, they're going to be my file names. Let me have a look. Let's actually start making some files. Now, there's probably a couple of ways that we could do that. Now that I've made a change, I'm going to go up to the File menu and Save All. That's going to save all of the files in my working folder. So I could be working on the style sheet and then making a change to the index file, and I can save all those changes in one go. I'm going to go out and have a look at what my website is looking like. So I've got one index.html, and that's my home page. And I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to just Option and drag and create a new version of that. And I'm just working in the Finder here, and this is going to be my About Us page. So I've called that About Us. So you can see here in my HTML, now I've got a corresponding HTML file, and when I click on this anchor tag in the browser, it's going to load up this About Us page. And you can see here that in my code editor, I now have a second HTML file. I'm going to click on that HTML file and make some edits there. To start with, I'll just preview what that page looks like, and I've added the live preview extension to my version of Visual Code Studio, so I can go ahead and hit the Go Live button, and that hopefully is going to load up a live version of my website. And that's what I've got so far. I'm going to arrange that so that we can see that on the right hand side. Oops. Don't really want to start. Oh, god damn it. Alright, so we can see both of those. So we can see like our code, and we can see how it's rendering over here. Don't worry if you haven't installed that extension. All you really need to do is refresh your page. So you could just open up the file in a browser and refresh the page if you've got saved changes. Anyway, so this is going to be my About Us page. So I'm going to make some make some adjustments to the content. And as we talked about before, this is the stuff, this is the area that's going to change. If I update that and hit save, you can see that I've made that change to the website. So we've got this kind of common content in the header and the footer. It's going to run across all of my pages. And at the moment, I'm just working on an About Us page and a Testimonials page. So some new content in here really quickly. I'm going to add a H1, and it's going to be a heading About Us. All right, and if I hit save, it's going to adjust. I'm going to add a picture, and so that's an image tag. The source. Before I add some images, I'm going to need to just go to our working folder here, and I'm going to add in there a folder for our images. And I do have 2 images that I've prepared, and I'm going to pop them into that images folder. Oops. Alright, so let's go back to that spot image. Oops. And the source of my image is going to be, Visual Studio Code is prompting me. It's inside the images folder, and I'm going to choose one of those 2 images. So you can see that that's the URL to that image that I'm going to include. And I may as well put an alt tag. Close off that image tag and save, and we should see our image there. Excellent. The only other comment that I'm going to add to this page is some paragraphs of text. And I'm going to just grab some dummy text to use. A few paragraphs, and I've already got some paragraph tags added there, which is going to speed things up for me a little bit. And I'll hit save, and hopefully we'll see that text appear there in the page. Alright, so I need to do some style to this content that I've added. So I'm going to go to my style.css and make some adjustments to the style. What we want to end up with is one style sheet that styles our entire website. You can imagine that a website could be pretty complicated with lots of pages, up to, some websites have hundreds, thousands of pages, and it's good to have one place to make adjustments to style. So in this case, we're going to have our style.css. It's going to be our all of our HTML files are going to be linked to that style sheet, and you can see if I go to index, just need to scroll across to see that. In the head tag, we're going to it's not formatted very well, but you can see that if we move over here, there is a link to our style sheet. And that link, that reference to the style sheet will be the same in all of our HTML files. Anyway, let's move on to the style, and we're going to add some styling to the content that we've added here. Where to put it? Maybe I reckon in about here. So we're going to add a style for our H1 tags across the website. We're going to add a paragraph tag also, or a rule for our paragraphs tags, and also for the page content images. We'll add a rule for that. Start with the image, and we'll just add a width of 100%, so we can kind of contain that image, and a margin at the bottom. Oops. 40 pixels. And if I save that, you can see that those styles have been implemented. I'm just going to grab a font for our H1s, and also we're going to add some margin to the bottom. Didn't need to put a cap there. Oops, spelled that incorrectly. And also a text transformation or text transform in uppercase. I've got uppercase, and I'm not going to do too much to the paragraphs, but just add a margin at the bottom to create a bit of space after. All right. Probably could have been a bit more detailed there, but you can see now that we've got some content for our About Us page and included an image there. So that's great. That's looking good. I'm just going to close that down, and you can see that our website is starting to build up. We're starting to compile it. I'm going to duplicate that About Us page that we made, because we know that our header and footer is in place, and now we've got a H1 and a P tag in there also. We've also styled that in our CSS, so we don't need to do that style again. I could go over to About Us here inside Visual Code Studio, copy and paste that, and that will duplicate the file, and you can see that it's been duplicated there. And then I'll rename that to testimonials. And we've already added that link into our menu. Okay, so let's go into testimonials, change the content in here. So we'll change our about one. Let's alter the picture. I think our other image was called coffee, and just for the hell of it, we'll remove one of those paragraphs of text to make it a little bit different. Save all, and I can right click on it. I think this works. Okay, so now you can see that we've got a 3-page website happening here. So we've got a testimonials page, and if I pull down the menu, I can go to the About Us page, and vice versa, I can go to the testimonials page. I probably should have included a home page in there so that I can get back to the home page. But you can see how when I work in Visual Code Studio and I'm working locally, you can see how that I can start to put together that web of different files that will be our eventual finished website. And if I just sign off by just going and having a look at our folder of files there, you can see that we're starting to compile the different pages together. We've currently got an index page, which is our home page. We've got an About Us page, we've got a testimonials page. All 3 of those HTML files are being styled by that style.css page. So any style changes we make, we only need to make it once to the whole website. There is the script there that is kind of activating that menu. And I've also got a folder of images that I'm using.